Developing this morning, we are working on getting you more information about a story we first brought you last night. That was when state agents raided the New Mexico Finance Authority in Santa Fe. Agents from the state securities division had a search warrant and went in going after everything connected to the Finance Authority's audit from 2010, the one that turned out to be fake. Remember, that's the one investigators say one of the workers at the department created to attract investors. Now state agents are trying to see if millions of dollars are really missing. The Finance Authority is in charge of lending money to cities and counties all around the state. We'll have more on this story later today, both on air and online. And new this morning, Sunland Park finally has a new mayor. Last night, the city council there appointed Javier Perea to the job for the second time. Remember, council appointed him back in April, but Perea had to quit a week later because other people who wanted to be mayor couldn't get into this council meeting because it was so crowded. Now, all this happened because the man who was elected mayor, Daniel Salinas, couldn't get sworn in because he's charged with a number of crimes. That is Mr. Salinas there, including trying to blackmail another candidate who was with a lap dance video. Well, a neighborhood in Albuquerque is back to normal this morning after police and SWAT teams rushed out there yesterday. This happened about 5:30 near Cole and 11th Street. Police say they got a call that a man was strangling a woman who was 5 months pregnant, wouldn't let her leave the house. Officers say Albert Lovato would not come out of his home, so they called the SWAT team in. They eventually arrested Lovato. Now he is charged with domestic violence. A police officer from Espanola is on the other side of the law this morning, being accused of driving drunk. This was James Gallegos after he was arrested leaving a bar near Coors and Sequoia in Albuquerque a week and a half ago. Gallegos had just become an officer with Espanola's police department again 6 years after he used to work there. We wanted to know why he left in the first place. We found out that back in 2005, when Gallegos was an officer in Espanola, a man called police saying Gallegos and another officer tried to buy cocaine at a burger joint. That criminal case went nowhere, and Gallegos ended up quitting. And before that, in 2001, in fact, it was a year before Espanola police initially hired Gallegos, he was arrested accused of beating up his girlfriend. Now, City Councilor Corey Lewis hopes this does not make the city's police department look bad.
It's just like any orchard. You're going to have a bad apple in an orchard, but not all law enforcement are bad. We have very intelligent, very great law enforcement here in our community.
Gallegos is suspended without pay right now. In fact, he could lose his job. Well, today is a deadline for a grand jury to indict the man police say shot and killed a worker at a 7-Eleven in Albuquerque last month. Investigators say this man, Eloy Aguilar, was with his cousin and a friend when Aguilar decided to hold up the 7-Eleven at Central and University, ended up shooting and killing this man who was the clerk there, Chad Mercer. All three men are facing murder charges. A man who is already convicted of driving drunk and hitting and killing a woman in Albuquerque set to plead guilty to drunk driving again today. Brian Wagner was arrested on DWI charges last year. This after he was driving drunk back in 1998 and slammed into Mary Margaret Sosa's car at Academy in Eubank and killed her. He got 3 years for that. We will be in court today and let you know what the judge decides. A young troublemaker with a long rap sheet and just a small amount of time spent behind bars may be headed to prison soon. U.S. Marshals caught this man, Mark Carlson, in Grand Prairie, Texas last week. He's been on their most wanted list since he skipped out on probation in February. Carlson is just 20 years old, and investigators say he's involved in at least half a dozen robberies all around Albuquerque. Now Carlson could face 4 years in prison. The federal trial of a family accused of helping smuggle guns to a Mexican drug cartel is over this morning now that the grand jury has acquitted them on the major charges. However, family, all of them did not get off scot-free. Rick and Terry Reese and their youngest son, Ryan, here, were convicted of falsifying federal firearms sales forms and could spend 3 to 5 years in prison. The jury acquitted the oldest son, Remington, of all of the charges. Well, it is a quiet morning at Chick-fil-A right now, much different than it was yesterday, particularly in the afternoon. Lines of people flocked to that restaurant in Albuquerque and its stores all across the country to support its CEO after he said he's against gay marriage and is for what he calls traditional Christian values. Then former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee declared yesterday as Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day.
We all kind of decided we were going to come out and support Chick-fil-A and stand up alongside with them and say, you know, we're proud of you too.
I'm not going to give my money to an organization who's giving it back to funds that don't support my lifestyle.
But as you just heard there, not all the people at Chick-fil-A were ones who liked the restaurant. These protesters showed up. They lined the streets too, supporting gay marriage.